On May 26 in Tianjin, at least a few hundred students gathered at the square of Tianjin University to protest. Down with formalism, down with bureaucracy, down with formalism, down with bureaucracy. As the outbreak in China's capital, Beijing, resurfaces and continues to worsen, the neighboring city of Tianjin has again reported multiple local cases. Since May 27th, the Tianjin municipal government has asked residents to remain relatively still, restricting the movement of people and vehicles and implementing full-scale nucleic acid testing. It's required that no one be left out of the testing process. For a city of 14 million people, this is equivalent to a citywide lockdown. Previously, on May 25th, the Tianjin government announced that one of its administrative districts would start district-wide static management. It called for the strict implementation of the policy where residents mustn't leave their neighborhoods unless necessary. At the same time, all districts are blocked off from each other and no cross-district travel is allowed in Tianjin. Silent management, static management, territory-wide static management, closed home management. These are terms that have emerged since the Omicron virus spread widely in China this spring. The CCP authorities have coined new terms to replace the word lockdown, which carries a negative connotation. Yuan Di Jing Ji, or staying where one is and staying still, is one of the phrases coined by the CCP. To avoid the disgust that Chinese people feel about the lockdown, the CCP has adopted another form, zoning, as well. The city is divided into a number of zones based on risk levels, such as lockdown zones, controlled zones, and precautionary zones. However, the severity of control of these zones often depends on the officials responsible for the zone, rather than the zoning name. For example, a precautionary zone, the one with lenient measures, may be treated with strict lockdown measures in reality and a delay in lifting restrictions. Peace District is located in the center of Tianjin and is the most densely populated jurisdiction in the city. It's under lockdown. In the meantime, a new round of nucleic acid testing is being carried out throughout the city of Tianjin. Next to Peace District is the Nankai District. On May 25th, there was news that this district was going to be closed down. On the same day, the government issued a notice to dispel the rumors, asking residents to not believe in rumors, not to spread rumors. But the next day, right after the official dismissal of the rumors, the Nankai District Command Center for the Epidemic Prevention and Control announced that a new round of full nucleic acid testing will be conducted throughout the district to screen as many people as possible, without missing a single person. The district also implemented a non-essential travel policy, meaning that residents aren't allowed to leave their neighborhoods, and all residents are to remain relatively still. In addition, authorities have warned that residents who don't participate in the round of nucleic acid testing within the specified time will have their health code adjusted to orange. On the evening of May 26th, following the Nankai District's announcement, students from Tianjin University who are located within the district staged a protest against these extreme policies. Tianjin University is one of the top universities in China with about 33,000 students. It has been closed down since January 8, 2022, and hasn't given students their winter break until now. Students have told overseas Chinese media that they often have to wake up early or even in the middle of the night to do nucleic acid tests. The footage shows the students chanting the slogan, "Down with formalism, down with bureaucracy." The surrounding students are echoing their support. A woman who is suspected to be a teacher at the school suggests that each faculty elects student representatives to talk to the school leadership, but the students want the school leadership to be there in person and talk to the students. What the students are demanding is that the university clarifies how and when the final exams will be held, and to specify the time for breaks and when they could return home. They have also demanded that there be no official recourse and no regulatory talks. While the students expressed their demands, a large number of police officers poured in. Sources said that in the middle of the police convoy were limousines with officials from the CCP's Tianjin Municipal Committee. In addition to Tianjin University, students from the neighboring Nankai University have also recently sought help online and protested on campus. The university has been under prolonged closure. In late April, students commented online, "Nankai University is only closed to students. Staff and family members are free to come and go. What is the point of this closure?" Students have accused the school of treating them like viruses, and said they strongly oppose this broken formalism. Students are now hanging large banners on the school building, and some put out posters against the continued closure on campus. One flyer reads, "We are human beings, and we want freedom." On May 23rd and 24th, protests took place at two universities in Beijing. Students demanded that school authorities clarify how and when final exams would be held and allow students to return to their hometowns, among other things. The protests resulted in the authorities conceding and allowing the students to go home. The protest at Tianjin University is thought to have been inspired by universities in Beijing. In recent days, Beijing has been forced to ease COVID-19 restrictions on universities because university and local government officials in Beijing have been instructed to quickly meet student demands and quell any unrest. This way, enemies wouldn't be able to link the protests to the anniversary of the June 4th Tiananmen Square massacre and use it to attack the Communist Party leadership. The growing number of protests by university students in China shows that students are increasingly frustrated with the zero-COVID policy. Since January 8, 2022, when the first case of the Omicron variant was reported in Tianjin, it has spread rapidly. For a few months afterward, the number of new infections appeared to be low, but several parts of Tianjin remained locked down. By late May, the outbreak suddenly flared up again. Although judging from the official figures, the outbreak isn't that serious, as only 7 new infections were reported on May 27th, compared to 38 new infections on May 21st. But major actions taken by the government seem to show that the actual situation could be more serious than the official report. This is a small neighborhood in Tianjin on May 16th. Tens of thousands of people were taken away by government buses for quarantine.
All residents of Lu'an Village, please note that in accordance with the requirements of the City Epidemic Command Department, the District Epidemic Command will arrange for all residents to be transferred.
With the escalation of epidemic control in Tianjin, the city has seen a lot of chaos. This video shows a lot of unwrapped test swabs on the table when the nucleic acid samples are collected.
I'd like to ask, these swabs are unwrapped in advance, right? Are there any that aren't unwrapped? We won't do the test with the unwrapped. Which hospital do you come from? I mean, which hospital are you from? I'm getting a test, but does this violate the workflow? Can the swab be unwrapped in advance? Is this a normal operating procedure?
You go talk to your sub-district office.
I won't go to the sub-district office. It's not the sub-district office that does the test. It's the health workers who do the test. So let me ask, which hospital are you from?
What do you want?
Nothing. I have to watch out for our own safety. Our neighborhood has no positive cases yet. But taking all the swabs out in advance and putting them on the table like this. Look at the top of the table. What's all this? It's easy to get infected by bacteria like this. I just want to ask, is such an operation process reasonable and compliant?
Usually, swabs for nucleic acid collection are disposable. The normal process requires people who do the testing to get individuals' personal info first. After that, nurses or physicians have to sterilize their hands before unwrapping the swabs. The swab is opened on the spot and placed in the test tube after swabbing. Unwrapping the swab in advance is clearly wrong according to the process. The woman later came to the sub-district office to seek an explanation, but the staff threatened to sue and file a lawsuit against her if she were to release the video. Finally, the staff shoved her, told her to get out and shut the door. The impact of the outbreak control measures has left Tianjin with a GDP growth rate of 0.1% in the first quarter, the lowest among China's 4 major metropolises. The economic downturn hurts the average Chinese the most. On April 2, 2022, news broke that a couple in a lockdown zone in Tianjin jumped to their deaths. It is said that the fallen couple had lost more than 200,000 RMB due to the outbreak. Overwhelmed, the man jumped off the building with his wife, leaving a young child behind. This video shows the entire tragedy clearly, but it's too brutal. We won't show the details. In the WeChat group of this neighborhood, people are sad. One person wrote, "People from outside don't understand the mentality of the people locked up inside who can't get out. We have lost our jobs and have no income. People in jail have a term, but we don't even have a term. We don't have a future to look forward to. It's no wonder to be driven crazy." These days in China, Shanghai has not yet lifted its lockdown. Half of Beijing has escalated its controls, and Tianjin has called for a citywide standstill. In addition to these large metropolises with populations of more than 10 million, many medium-sized and small cities in China are also in the grip of the outbreak. Its impact isn't limited to China either. In fact, China is now considered one of the biggest uncertainties in the world economy. There is no way to know when it's going to lift the blockade and when it's going to lock down the entire production again in order to reach dynamic zero. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York just released a global supply chain pressure index. It shows that stresses in the global supply chain worsened in April. If the index continues to rise, it could mean more prolonged inflation for the US. CNN reports that Shanghai, the world's largest container port, has been operating at half capacity for more than a month. 1/5 of the container ships are currently stuck in ports around the world, with 28% of them stranded in China. Industry insiders say that shipping from mainland China to the US now takes 74 days longer than before. This has exacerbated the disruption in the global supply chain, further affecting China's main exporting destinations, the US and European markets. Fewer shipments of Chinese-made medicines, pharmaceutical ingredients, or other products to the US and shortages of some everyday items have contributed to rising price pressures. At a May 18th press conference in Bonn, Germany, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen cited the extent of China lockdowns as a concern that would aggravate supply chain pressures and push up prices. In addition, she expressed her advocacy for removing some of the tariffs imposed on Chinese imports. This indicates that pressure is clearly felt within the U.S. At present, there is particular interest worldwide in whether the Communist Party's draconian COVID-19 policy will be relaxed, and if so, how quickly China's output of manufactured and industrial goods will recover. But it's likely that the world will be disappointed. This is because the CCP has touted the zero-COVID policy as evidence of its system's superiority. This will prevent the CCP's top brass from turning from the path of the zero-COVID policy before the 20th National Congress this fall, which is a significant meeting that decides if Xi can renew his leadership inside the party. Even knowing full well that the zero-COVID policy is ineffective against the Omicron variant, the CCP will have to continue with the policy.